put themselves forth in public service. All these things are to live to you in the name of Christ. Amen.
Thank you so much.
What's your start?
Yes.
For the record. For the record, what was your name?
Oh, I'm Pastor Brian Benji with True Life Church of the Nazarene. It's BENJEY.
Tell me the one you said it so fast I didn't quite get it.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do?
It's partial, but I don't hear what.
Thank you.
Citizens' comments, I'm not aware of anybody that signed up, is that correct? Minutes from the previous meeting held on June the 16th, 2025.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented from the county clerk's office.
So, it's been moved and seconded that we approve those as they're prepared by the county clerk. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There is none. Treasurer Carter report.
Did that last one.
Yes. Burn ban. They're running out pretty fast.
Still green.
Okay. Employee changes, precinct 1.
Yeah, I was, looking to bring all my employees up to the same pay as the rest of the precincts. They've been slow for a while now. And I just want to bring them up to current level.
And what does that entail?
I mean, what is
How
it?
many employees?
Three employees. Yeah, it's just 3 employees. It's gonna be, Chad, Howard, Shane Moody, and Philip Roberts. Bring them up to the same pay as the other precincts. They're all the same. They're not foremen. None of us foremen. One side, one change.
It's 7%.
Huh? Oh, yeah.
You have paperwork for that or not?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Do what? Yeah.
We need you on the RMI somewhere in there.
No. Sign on the wrong one.
That's okay, that's okay.
Is there a,
Not on.
I make a motion that we approve those.
do you have sheets for each of them? There are sheets for each.
I don't know what is the exact current salary for yours? 64?
No.
No, he's just moving them up to, I believe, 54
Fifty,
something.
54. 54, is it even 54 though?
No, it's 54 something, but
But it's the same as the other one, I couldn't remember the exact.
I didn't bring that paperwork.
I didn't either.
54,574.86.
We're looking it up right now.
We'll bring them up to everybody else.
54, 5,
And I'll second it.
So the motion has been made that precinct 1 road ends need a raise to the same rate as all of the other road ends in the county, which is 54,578. It was seconded by Commissioner Kelton. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed?
Excuse me,
Oh,
I'm sorry, it is not 578, it's 574.
And eight.
Okay.
And 8 cents, did you say?
Yeah, that was my motion. Whatever she said, I couldn't catch it. Whichever one it was. Equalizing or equalizing.
That was $3.92 off.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am.
When is it going into effect?
July.
July 1. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There's none. Precinct 2, employee changes.
We're short 2 employees. We've had some retirement and replacement. So we're starting 2 new hands at a starting salary for the probation period. We're starting today, we're starting Dennis McConaughey, I think so you say that. He'll be starting at $40,000 per year. He has a CDL. He'll start his probation period today. And we have Xander Easterling. His beginning date will be 7/1 at $40,000 a year. He has a CDL, but it's not a Class A, it's a Class C. So that's
You like to go to school?
he's already been to this. He's already got his license. There's nothing he has to go. I think he has to do the testing for this. Because he learned in the automatic transmission truck. He has to go get a couple extra steps. I'm not sure what he follows, but we got 9 days to figure it out. So those will replace 2 open positions in precinct 2. I make a motion that we approve those 2 new hires at the beginning salary.
It's been moved and seconded that the 2 proposed changes made by the precinct 2 commissioner are to fill those 2 open positions with beginning salary. OHAMs approved. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
It's not a long one. Good.
County Clerk Records Management Project presented by Sharon Ferguson.
I had a records management project that I did that y'all approved back in November. And I wanted to share with y'all what it looked like, since we talk about that sometimes. And anyway, I did a spotlight on it because I had this records management project. In November, you'll approve me to have this done. And we did 13 old books. And if you look on page 3, you can see what those books look like before. That's my books. I took a picture of in the basement of my cabinet. And they were literally falling apart. So I decided to do 13 of them because the cost was $33,673 just for those 13 books. But they did, y'all approved that in November, and I paid the invoice in March. And that comes out of the records management and archive fund that the county clerk is in charge of. And those are my funds that go into the account for the county clerk record preservation project. But I come to y'all and get it approved. And as you see those books on page 3,
Nearly 150 years old.
here's what the new one looks like. And I thought they were just really, really nice. Really did an amazing job. Of course, it was $33,000.
It's
But
amazing what you get from her.
they tried. And they did like I said, they did that spotlight and they showed the other compartment. They encapsulate the sleeves, clean them all up.
Those actual pictures out of those books.
Yes, they deacidify it. This is 1897. They encapsulate them, they clean them, and then they put them in this paper here. It is nice, it's longer than you and I, so we'll see. But anyway, I had 9 of these books done because this is a jury book, and it tells what they had back in 1897 and somebody got fined $350. Stephanie and I decided that was like 10,000 now in today's time. So they're very interesting. It's Brown County's history that we have to preserve. And that's all that I can use those funds for. So I wanted you to see what a good job they do and why it costs so much. And I just wanted to, I thought that was very nice of them to share the spotlight for me.
How many more books you have to do?
Oh my goodness. The basement bill. Yeah, it never ends.
Was that the oldest one?
1880, courthouse burned in 1880. So we don't have any books, we don't have any records before that. So you try to do, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to get all the land records in the computer because that's what people want. And this is also, they put these on flash drives, so when we get the new computer system, that will be in there too. So, I doubt anybody wants to go back that far,
Congratulations.
but it's just history, and I just thought it was I'll show you what a wonderful job they did. But, 33,673, it took them 4 months is all, and I thought that was, usually it takes a year to get anything done. And, that's all I can use those payments, that money for, and I just wanted to share that with
They
you.
look great. They do. Now on the third page, or the fourth page, there's a quote from you that says, "My goal before I retire is to have all the land records scanned and indexed."
There.
Does that mean if we hurry up and get all those done?
I'm done.
Oh, you're done.
No.
Well, let's get on that.
That's good. That's what I thought you'd say. Yeah. Anyway, it's a lifelong project, and I've been working on it for 17 years.
They look good.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was very nice.
The media like a copy of it.
I gave it home.
You gave them.
All right, thank you, Sharon. New business, consideration and possible approval of the renewal for health insurance, employee health care coverage for FY 25-26.
You should have it for you, something that looks like this. It's got the different rates and different plans. First of all, I'd like to say that our rates increased 10.7% this year. That's because we have spent more than we paid in. So how do you want to handle this? The paper has the current rate, and then it has the renewal rate, which is the same plan that we would have. It's an increase of $135.14 for individual
Per month
per month. And the family coverage is 339.62%, not percent increase.
I'm there on. I hear it. I'm sorry.
And here's, so we paid out more than we paid.
Yes,
So
I
is
have,
there a chance that this year we don't pay out as much with the insurance rates go
well,
down? I
it's
know
just,
you can't answer that. I mean,
if our employees stay healthy and maybe participate in our health accounting program, maybe.
it's been my experience that insurance has never gone down.
We've had some much lower rates because we've had some good years, but last year we paid into TAC for our health insurance $4,661,335.44, and they paid out $56,348. So they paid out quite a bit more
$2
than.
million more than.
Very lucky we're in the pool this year for one thing,
Yes,
or else we'd be in bigger trouble.
Like I
And
said,
we've had a few years where we actually got,
the rates gone down.
or they give you a little credit the year
Yes.
to go for the next one. This is not that year.
We usually get a check back, but if they have any money left in the entire pool, they will split it up and they will give everybody a check.
If you didn't exceed,
We usually get one, even if we exceed it, maybe like 10,000, but we usually get something. Now, on this plan, if you look under the renewal rates, you can see what it covers. This is our deductible and our co-insurance and office care in the emergency room. Our vision plan did not change this year, and there's not any changes in the prescription copay for any of these plans.
So compared to the rest of the world, we have a $750 deductible, so I don't know if that's commonplace. I've been here so long that I don't know what others should expect here.
I couldn't tell you either. If we go to, say, option one, that would be $1,000 deductible in network, and the $3,000 is out of network. And their copay would be, office visits would be $30, and the specialist would be $30, and the emergency room remains the same. And that would be, option one would be an increase of $100.60 for individual and $250.12 for family. Now, on this family total, it doesn't have the employee $200 deducted out of that. This is a total, so we actually paid $200 different than what it says here, because $200 is paid by the employee. So there's a lot of things you can look at. Option three doesn't actually look very good. It's got a $3,000 deductible and a little higher copay. And option two is a $1,500 deductible. And the copay is still $30.
Well, that really didn't modify the actual, and double the deductible, it really makes very, not much of a difference in the actual employee, between the actual rate. And it's only like $35, what's one between the middle rate and option one is
You say $34.54.
$34.54, it's double, not double. Deductible, the out of network deductible rate is $250.
Do you have any more questions? Maybe I could help you with them. And it's never gonna go down. Y'all do have some options to save a little money for the county. You could increase the employees portion. It's been $200 for over 20 years. So that's something to consider.
on the family plan, you mean? Yeah.
Yes. So instead of paying $13.70, if we went, you increased it to $300, we would pay $3,200, the county would pay $3,200. These will go into effect October 1st, and they will be included in our budget.
So we have to have this decision made.
It's gonna be back to them, signed, sealed, and delivered on the 27th.
So if we go to if we add $100 to employee pay for family, it would reduce the current renewal rate for family by how much?
Well, if you increase to 300, it would reduce the part that we pay, the county pays, by another $100. It's like on the renewal rates where it says 35.13.70. Just take 300 off of that,
So you could take 300 off.
because they're paying two, and that's not deducted from this.
And it still doesn't get us back to the work. Well, I don't know. Well, with $34, you don't get much difference there if you go with option one. That's where you give up quite a bit. We don't give up that much.
There's another way to save a little money, I don't know if I should mention it or not, $17 per employee per month. Approximately
To
40,000.
make who the agent of record.
We don't need one, we wouldn't have one.
I mean, it's obvious that we've kind of kicked the can down the road long enough. I mean, we're gonna have to look at our health insurance benefits. And when I mean that, certainly not reducing the coverage, but, we're gonna have to look at other companies, we're gonna have to look at other pools that we can join. And so, I mean, I think for far too long, we've just accepted whatever TAC has sent us and haven't looked at other options. I mean, we're gonna have to do that. Now, obviously, we're not gonna do that before the 27th of June. But sometime in the next 12 months, we need to take a look and see, make sure we're getting the most bang for the buck. It may not be TAC, it may be somebody else. I've checked with other big employers, government, quasi-government, the school districts, the city, the MHMR, and our rates are 50% or sometimes double what those other entities. I mean, you look at like Brownwood ISD, of course, they may be healthier than we are.
Yes, their deductible is,
Extraordinary.
yeah.
But I'm saying that we've got to educate ourselves and make sure that we're making an appropriate decision. I mean, just coming in here once a year with 3 or 4 options from the same company, that's not being a very good steward of money. I mean, we've got to make sure that we're looking at different options.
Like take it as an employee of the BISD, that insurance wasn't very good. Wasn't very good at all.
And this has come up across my listserv, and other counties have looked at going outside of TAC, and what they have discovered, according to listserv, is that TAC is still a better option, so just.
Right.
But if you get out of
Just
tax,
throwing
then
that
you
out
come
there.
back.
Yes.
What I'm saying, if you get
Yeah,
out,
you
because you get into another company, they make you in there, and then the next year, the rates are astronomical.
I know Lisa and I, we talked about that, and there are some other pools that we need to explore, right?
Yes.
She's given me the information, and so I'm not saying they'll be better, but at least we can satisfy ourselves and we've shopped it.
Yes.
And there are other options too.
Stories.
Excuse me?
There are other options, not just the other pool. We have lots of different opportunities that we could explore, and I don't mind helping in whatever way we can.
So she's working on some stuff for the city of Brownwood.
The Graham County Appraisal District is on our plan, and they've been on it for a while. They left 1 year, and they came back because the prices decreased so much in that 1 year, and the benefits were not as good. And TAC said they could come back once, but if they leave again, they cannot come back. Graham County went outside about 94 or 95, and then we came back to TAC.
They give us an ultimatum then.
No. At least I don't remember. I was here in 96, and this was before my time.
I mean, just going by, like I said, this year, our usage out there, if we'd have been with somebody else that wasn't large pool, would have been, our renewal rates would have been crazy. These are crazy, but crazy compared to this. I think we need to look at some point. So I know it's a great benefit, but we only got $200 to add your spouse. That covers everybody. We may have to start thinking about for each individual you add. Extra money for each individual, because I know we looked at some of the employees that are at $30-some thousand a year, we spend that much also on the insurance, we spend as much money on insurance, we do on salaries.
Now, this year, if you decide right now to increase the employee portion to 300, Judge Britton can put that on the contract. This is the time to make the changes.
The 300 would still be a bargain.
Very much so.
Well,
Don't let
And
it
it
pass.
would reduce reduce the family paying by half, 300 a month?
Yes. Well, it would reduce what the county pays.
Yes,
The
yes, what I
portion-
meant.
Yeah, there'd still be 3,500 a month, but the county would only pay 32.
But what's getting you also is somebody that's not, multiple children, you guess why multiple children, that's a big, that's a big thing, how much more it costs to insure. We charge $200, we put more in our dozen on there. So that's,
300.
that can kill you in some situations, I don't know the answer to that.
Our insurances, from my experience, in the years I've been here, is second to none. And it invites a lot of people to work here because of that, because the pay is not maybe what they think, but the insurance is amazing. So it attracts an employee that needs that for a family.
And the other side of that scale, which I agree with, you get a young person here that's not worried about health.
And the county
All they
pays that.
think about the actual bottom dollar, and they don't realize the benefit, there's not, well, if you're young and healthy, it's not really a benefit at that
You
point.
try
in
to
life.
tell them when you're
So it doesn't mean
interviewing
anything to
them
them,
how
so
great the insurance is.
it's not as attractive to a young, healthy person as it is somebody that's got a family with children,
It depends on the age of the applicant too.
and family
If they're really
status.
young, they don't really care about insurance, but if they're older, they do.
So,
Can you like split the difference and be like individuals pay $50 and increase the family to $250 and just split the difference that way?
say that again?
Where individuals like those without dependents, if they pay 50 and then increase the family to another 50 and kind of split the difference that way?
You can charge the employee instead of giving it free to them as we have.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Such that.
Kind of split the difference.
Well, there's another bad part of that. If you encourage someone here that's young and healthy not to get, now they don't want to take the insurance, so they will be part of the deal, that hurts your pool, makes your pool even worse.
Oh, TAP will only let us have so many people who refuse the insurance.
You know,
It's
I
in-
think so. If you do something that lets your young healthy ones opt out of their insurance, that it makes your pool a little worse.
And if they opt out, they're gonna want that money in their pocket.
So it's kind of, you have to catch where you go. But it's getting unsustainable with the rate we're going. At some point, we're gonna have to look at doing something different. So like maybe, some point we're thinking like maybe an option too at this point, where you can increase deductible, but also it really doesn't make much difference. But we might have to start charging per person that adds to the program. That's still not gonna touch it because the one person is over $1,000. $100 a month, what it is for individual, you put an extra one on there for $200 for one or a dozen. We're gonna be in trouble on that over doing that.
Have you considered option one? The benefits are almost the same. We do pay, would pay a $30 office visit and $30 for a specialist. But if you did increase the employee portion for family, that would bring the monthly for the county down to $3,124 a month, which is slightly less than what we're paying now.
I think we're gonna have to start letting employees help pay for these multiple people on our insurance. We're gonna have to do that. I mean, we just can't keep doing this and keep a decent insurance, decent, nice coverage insurance. But going from current renewal, from the renewal rate to the option one is $34 difference it was, and it's like there's not a lot of,
It is actually from our current plan to option one, it would increase $100.60 a month.
Right,
Talking
but
about-
between
talking
the
about
renewal rate
if
and
y'all
option
ring to the
one
blue
is
ring though, we know we're gonna start there.
Yeah.
It costs $34.50 more to do option, less to do option one, but you get $250 more deductible, $5 more on your co-pays.
Yes.
Is it something that we could choose the plan now and then at budget time decide?
We
So we have to know how much the county's gonna pay versus.
Yeah, we have to have it. TAC must have it by the 27th. If they don't, we will have some fees.
Right. Oh, so this page 2 has to be completed, this bottom has to be completed as well.
Judge Britton has a whole stack of things he needs to sign. I marked them for him.
Oh,
Looks like a
well, I'm just-
porcupine.
I'm just clarifying though, that we have to have decided how much employees, how much family
Yeah,
are
well,
all gonna pay.
Yeah.
In addition to which option.
Yeah, you have to, that has to be decided today because
Okay,
it has to be written on the contract.
okay, just making sure I was
So,
understanding.
but also like he pointed out, how much of our, how many usage do we have out of network? Do you have that? Is there much usage out of network?
Do you mean how much we use?
Well, if we go to option one, or out of network, deductible goes from 1 to 3,000. That's like triple that amount. Is that, how many people that go, how many people are using out of network?
I do not know. They haven't told
See,
me.
for $34, you triple that number. The difference between the renewal plan or the option one plan.
I had some out of network myself this past year. It wasn't much, but,
The 3,000 pretty substantial.
It is.
I think we need to, we kind of need to look at,
We just-
we need to start looking more at the dependents that are on the new rate, approach, in my opinion, more from the dependent ends that are added to this plan.
Your Honor,
If we want to keep,
do you want to like call another meeting like in 2 days? So that we can, commissioners can have time to look at it and then we can still get it to TAC on time?
Good. We could actually do it on the 27th.
Yes, sir, we could.
No, it's to say we could have a meeting on the 27th and then, get it to them, so there's a meeting, so.
Yes.
Do you know how many, first, how many employees are all?
Like that. I have the last 3 months, going backwards, 177, 181, and 188.
I'm sorry, say that again.
188 in April, 181 in May, oops, no, excuse me, 188 in March, 181 in April, and 177 in May.
Those are actual employees.
No, that includes Brown County Appraisal District, who is on our
That,
plan.
what about the dependent?
That's
not
the
including
that was the next question. That was one A was how many and 1B is, and how many of those people have something other than an employee only?
I don't have that information. I didn't anticipate it.
Well, you know, how many dependents we pay them? And we're charging $200 for it, how many dependents do we have
Well-
other than employees?
I don't.
Yes, I think we want to consider that to look at that.
Well,
Where is I think that there's some rule that if your spouse has any health insurance available at all, even if it's thousands of dollars a month, they're still not allowed to be on our county plan. Where does that rule come from? Is that a county
that
rule?
would be TAC. However, TAC, in their information they sent us this year, they're doing away with that. So it's effective October 1. They don't have to have insurance where they work. So it'll all be on our time.
Well, the reason for asking is if we're gonna increase what the employee is paying, and a lot of these people already, their husbands have or spouse or wives have insurance, they're already paying $600, $700, $800 a month just for that spouse through their employer when this can be available, but that's one. And so to increase the rate, I would think some people have questions about that, so I just wondered.
Do you have even a wild guess on how many out of those 188 are something other than employee only?
Most are family coverage. Excuse me, David, do you have? He's getting it.
Because I'm just trying to, in my mind, figure out if you raise that employee contribution $100, how much money are we actually talking about?
It looks like rough guesstimate, about 100 of our employees are not seeing coverage.
I mean, I still have a little more different, how many people we have on our insurance that are not actually employed, we're talking about dependents or whatever. So,
Not actually employed.
well, okay, I'm an employee, but if I have my wife and 5 children, you know, I'm just saying the same. Sometimes, how many others are there besides our employees? How many people we got on the insurance that they're paying $200 a month, and that's for, I don't know how many.
I think that'd be hard to know, considering you pay one amount for family. You don't
Well,
know how
Well,
many
we
is
gotta
included
know
in that
something.
family.
Because we get charged a premium though for each individual on the plan.
I have no idea.
I mean, if you have 3 children, we're paying it's $1,363 for each individual on that plan, I would say. I guess these others are averages, for boy and child, I don't know, I'm not sure how that works. Is that an average if they're using a 30 employee and spouse, employee and 1 child, say they're charging the same amount for all 3? Is that an average that they're doing for us on our rate, or
What do
they?
you mean? I don't understand what you're asking about.
Are you asking how many dependents are covered?
Are we paying the individuals for each, I mean, there's an average in this?
We're not paying. So if you're an employee and you've got 2 kids, or you're an employee and you've got 10 kids, the premium's the same.
Or we pay tax?
Yes.
But the usage part, I'm talking, but also we get to that, so we
I
get to
don't
use
know
one.
if they break it down in usage. When they send us the sheets that show how much we use for prescriptions and medication, they don't have it break.
And most of that's gonna be the older part of our.
I was about to say, you're assuming that
Well,
family
assuming
with
most
kids
of our
is using more
outpatient
than
is gonna
a
be
single
all-
person who
And it's not.
may or may not be helping.
It's not. I know positively it's not, because we get reports. Obviously, they don't have names, that would be HIPAA violation, but we get reports to kind of generally talk about, and you know that,
Yes.
our
Top
top
user.
utilizers, and it's not people that have small children.
I can testify, the older you get, the more you have to.
Well, I mean, not even that, it's just, we've got data that shows that, and it's not, it's unhealthy middle-aged and older people, it's not young people that have children.
Well, so like, one person costs.
And of course, now you know why I've been beating this drum about getting annual physicals and
Yes.
trying to be healthy and those types of things. Because, and sometimes I feel like I'm banging the drum all by myself, but if we were a little healthier, we wouldn't be utilizing as much.
Courtney Parrott does a really wonderful job on our Hilton County.
She does, but we offer free annual physicals for our employees.
Yes. And plus the day off.
And a day off of work to get your physical done. And we can't even get a third of our employees to go get physicals every year. And that goes back to department heads not telling their employees they need to go get it done.
My 6 go, my employees,
Well, thank you.
they love that day off.
Mine are both participating in Healthy County.
And because it's unbelievable
Yeah.
how many times somebody goes, one of our employees goes to get a physical, an annual physical, something is discovered, and it's tended to before it becomes an expensive catastrophic event. But you still can't get people to go. So what do y'all want to do?
We've got inside right now.
Thank you, you got yours.
We'll go with the renewal rate.
I mean, there,
Till we get some competitive bids, I mean,
and there are creative things you can even do with this plan, but I don't think you can do those things in between November the 23rd, and the 27th of the month. You know, there are people that are a whole lot smarter than I. You can come up with plans, you can raise your deductibles, and then have a deductible pool that we, you know, basically we raise all of our employees' deductibles up to the maximum. And with the savings, you fund a pool to pay for deductibles. I mean, there's all kinds of creative solutions, but I don't think you do it in 4 days. And so, yeah, I think you're right. I think your hands are tied.
Well, so what you're gonna have to raise, we need to put the additional person on your plan. Family.
$100.
It costs us 2.5 times as much to have family on there, $100 is like,
Well,
seriously.
but you also you've got to think, we raise it $100 and it saves the county $10,000 a month. So you're saving $10,000 a month when you're paying $4 million in premiums. That's not very much. But to an employee who's making $30,000, an extra $100 a month may be a huge thing. And so you're really not, I mean, the county can afford to pay that. That $100 isn't gonna make a difference in our budget, but it may make the difference to an employee's budget. But I agree that we're gonna have to look at something.
It's becoming unsustainable.
It is.
When you're spending, like I said, when you're spending as much on insurance on employees or their salary.
Not yet. I'll make a motion that we accept the renewal rate.
And you're right. I mean, I'm not arguing with that, but
I heard, okay. That's a motion, Sharon.
Justin, renewal rate.
Yes.
well, it's been moved. Is there a second? A second. It's been moved and seconded that we renew at the renewal rate, which is plan 1100 MG.
I have a question. I think you already answered it, but we can't discuss the employee contribution to the family too. I mean, it has to be decided today too,
It has to be decided when you sign the contract.
but that's not written in here anywhere about, is it also other shit? Okay, that has to be decided today. Sure,
The employee part,
the employee.
yeah, I'm not convinced that has to be decided today.
I'm kind of like him on renewal one, but I think we need to be able to discuss what's charging the employee.
I agree.
We're gonna have,
It would have to be decided by Friday.
Well,
well,
I don't know, because to me, that does not intuitively make sense, because to me, it doesn't, the pool does not affect it at all. We pay a renewal rate, okay, we pay premiums, and so what do they care if we charge our employees 200 or 300?
On the contract, it does have a place where you put down how much the county pays and how much the employee pays. So they would like to have that information. in
Can
a
you find
timely
out
manner.
if that can be changed?
can that be changed between now and budget time?
I could.
That would be my only question. We might still address that. We could approve this if we're allowed to address the employee contribution. Between now and budget time.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we approve it at the current rate? And then, so it's done. And then you're gonna, between now and budget adoption, you're gonna find out if we can change that.
I'll find out immediately.
Yeah, leave it blank.
Yeah, don't put it in the ink, let her find out, and then
Can you do that and we move on to another object?
Yeah, I'll call them right now.
Okay.
We got a motion and a second on the floor, but just.
We're gonna pass them up until we get that. So, let's go to C, which is consideration of possible action to appoint a candidate to the vacancy in the Constable Precinct 2 positions.
Well, I don't know who all we have back there.
We've got two constables,
See,
two constables, we've got a JP. Oh, I'm sorry, we have three constables.
all right. We have an applicant for the open position for Constable Precinct 2. And I think they're gonna present him today, I believe. Is that correct? You have to say his last name, because I don't have it. David Langenhenny?
Lane,
How you say it?
like a lane you drive in, a hen that lays eggs, nigger. Lane and nigger.
Langenhenny.
Most people call me Ty.
LANHEN.
LANGE
I'll give it to you in a second. Sharon.
GE.
HE
Hand that to Sharon.
NN IG.
Benjamin has it all your life.
And misspelled most of the time.
Yeah, that's right.
You got it? And Judge Hogan is personally vouching for him.
Yes, of course, we know that Constable Henderson retired last month, and so I work with Ty, our correlation, because I'm on death calls. A lot of times he comes out, and one day he showed me that he was one of my police officers. So I was 20 years in the business, master police officer. So we check with TCO. We can hire him as a constable, but during the process, he has to start getting his updates, and law enforcement is what the evidence are, of course, qualifications, and still has a license, but they have to do updates every 2 years, 40 hours, or basic police officer training, updates on the penal code, criminal code procedure, and those things. So, and that's what he's working on already. So he's
What's the term of his,
4 year.
yeah, he got, how many years does he have left?
On what?
If we hire him, how much?
January 1st.
Yeah, yes, with Troy's,
29, would we have to do a special election?
Yeah, and I'll double check. I'll look at the dates that Troy retired.
20.
But I would imagine it will be till the next general election, which will be a year from now.
So make sure he gets his paperwork in for the election.
But I can share with the commissioners that my precinct is very, very busy. I see the budget and the revenue.
Yeah.
These guys have been class A doing all three of the constables. I have a big portion of it.
Could you give us just really, either one of you, a little quick background on your law enforcement experience?
Sure, I went to Capco Regional Training Academy in Austin in 1995. I was 19 years old when I graduated, so I couldn't carry a gun or buy bullets. So at age 21, I became a reserve police officer back home. Served as a reserve for a few years, went full-time February 14, 2000 in Lamesa. Served with those guys as patrolman, juvenile investigator. I switched to Gaines County Sheriff's Office, was assigned to the Narcotics Task Force in Lovell, South Plains Regional Narcotics Task Force, and spent most of the rest of my career in narcotics, running search warrants. I did 4 years undercover. After that, I went back home where my grandmother lived at Brownfield Police Department. I served there as lieutenant of CID. And I've been out now for 6 years. So I've got a few classes I gotta take a physical. But I do carry a master police officer license. It's intact. Everything's able to be done in the next 3 months.
He does live in precinct 2.
And, is all of the training or the updates, is that all online?
No, there's some, you have to be there in the class, have to go to Brian, take a physical. There's a few different classes you have to be in class for, and that's the only reason why I would take as long as I'm.
We can go also know what it's classes, yeah, they'll let you know what the class, what campus, what.
And you've been a funeral director?
I'm also a licensed, yes, sir, dual licensed mortician.
Okay. You've been working at Heartland?
Yes, sir.
What brought you to Brown County?
We've been coming down here for 25 years, and my wife wanted to be where there was trees and water. And we got a little place out on the lake,
That's a
so
longer time.
Not a whole lot of that in the big study.
no, I'm sure.
Well, that's they're still talking. Well, I'll make a motion with. Approve or appoint, that's what I'm looking for. Last name to fill it.
Lane and everybody told you how to.
I get it.
You understand?
Yeah, that one. I'll work on that. Anyway,
Yes.
I'll make a motion point in to fill up the open position.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we appoint, Lane. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I'm going to see how you.
Lane Hennig. Second, right?
Yeah, close enough.
As, to fill the vacancy created by the retirement of Troy Henderson. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? There is none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yes, sir.
That's me.
Is that gonna be a liaison?
Yes, it will. As soon as he's sworn in. He'll need to either be sworn in or sign an affidavit. All right, thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
It's always a good one.
I did.
Another one, you said burn it up. What is there not working?
Hey, Judge,
Yeah,
put
usually
that down.
that's not gonna work. You have to get with computer. But y'all asked him to have them turned off so no y'all can hear or record and so.
Well, then we just turn it on for just a few minutes to kind of cool things off.
Get your fan.
Slow.
I was gonna say, it's not gonna, so we're gonna stay done really quick.
That's one of those thermostats that Cooksey warned us about.
Cooksey?
Yeah. Because we paid $3,000 for a $30 thermostat. He tried to tell us 5 years ago. Consideration and possible approval of the Legacy Estates subdivision, County Road 129 to County Road 149. Travis, there you got caught up with the wash. How are you doing?
Doing well.
How are you, Judge? Commissioners? You probably didn't want to sit through health insurance.
I might want to. It's pretty expensive on our side as well. My name is Travis Tico, and I bought this 28.33 acres at the intersection of 129 and 140 a few months back. And I will hand this out to you guys. Look. Sweet. Pass out the copies. Yeah, sure. And I engaged Roy Bigston of Rising Star to do the lab. So we're looking at 9 lots ranging from 2.5 acres to 6 1/4. All of the lots have county road frontage access, more than 150 feet. I have talked to Brooke Smith SUV, and they will provide taps for all these lots. Also I have a letter from Brooke Smith as well, if you want to see that. Also have a letter from John Huff out of Happily for the septic systems. That can go on each slide. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
You said we just already,
Yes, sir.
She has, yes, sir.
He did come by this morning to the office to show Yolanda, and he hasn't made the numbers.
The bills are mine.
They're here.
But,
Yes,
but you're gonna have to sign 5 times.
yes.
He didn't make copies. What, is that under?
So Roy handed me 3 or 4 copies.
There's three Mylar. Oh, actually, there's 4 Mylar.
That's what I'm talking about. But she did tell me I need 5 signatures.
I need some more, so that's what I'm saying.
But you need, well, he's got 4 Mylars and 1 paper copy.
I forgot what Yolanda told you.
That's what she said.
He's got some more to do, and he's got Rita has to sign some more pages for him.
She'll have to sign a paper copy. Yes.
He didn't have all his copies, but other than that. And we can't find it till he does, but he'll do it. Sign it.
I don't think we'll remove this intersection.
So kind of north and west of it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Precinct what?
I don't have everything now. They're gonna hopefully not my life, you know, broke in and out without.
Entertain a motion to approve this subdivision plat of Legacy Estates.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the plat as presented this morning. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Carries.
Sheet, get that or sheet? Employee sheet?
Not that I'm aware of.
He's gonna have to do a bond and note and all that stuff. And just get signed in. He's not gonna be in the issue. Statement of records.
I don't know who did that. Did you just do that? Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Sorry, it's been so confusing.
Thanks for being in there.
Consideration of possible approval of records management project revolution data.
Yes, now that I'm through with this project that I just mentioned to you earlier, I'm ready to do another project. And I need approval for that, and it's with the same company, Revolution Data. That was the first time I've used that company. I've been using a different one that's more expensive. But they did an amazing job, so I thought I'd use them again. What we're doing now this time is we are converting microfiche into the format that we can, read, to be put into our computer. I have a lot of microfiche that, but no, reader, printer. They're almost obsolete. And what I need done is the years 1970 and 1980 criminal. And the reason is because FBI NICS, which is the National Instant Criminal Background Search, daily, 2 or 3 times a day, they will send us a request for criminal searches because people are trying to get handguns. And it's really going to handguns. And it's really just amazing how many there are with handguns. And we do not have the 1970 and 1980 criminal files.
7280 or just the year 1970?
1970, the year, and then 1980, but you're talking about 13,000 images or more. The previous clerk, I believe she must have destroyed those red folders during the records management project, because that's what we had to do, because we don't have running. Because we had the film, we had the microfiche, and at that time, that's what everybody did. But that was 20 years ago. And now the readers are obsolete almost. I mean, you might can buy them, but they're very expensive. Anyway, for this project that I'm trying to do now, it is $150,000 just for those 2 years to get in a format that my girls can use to do these searches. It's $350,000, 315,000 images. There's like 70 little tiny images on a sheet. So this project is $150,000. And it's $150,775. And that will at least get them through those 2 years, because after 1980, I have those in the computer. But it sells old ones, and I don't know why they're going back so far, but they're issuing handguns like crazy. And we have to do the searches.
What fund did they come out of?
That comes out of the same fund that I
Records
did,
Archive?
the Records Archive Fund, the Records Management, I'm sorry, and the Records Archive. I have approximately $550,000 in that fund. But
Oh, we use one.
and you can see how much projects cost.
Yeah.
You can see how much the projects cost, and that's why you always have a project element. When this one's over, we'll do something called restore small boats. There's just always something to do. But it's just good steward of money that we've been entrusted to keep these records up right running. Good for years and years to come.
They try to take some steps, try to replace my library, the old 8-track, with cassettes, playing, then they got a CD. I didn't give up. I keep it.
Anyway, I just need approval for that project, so I can,
How much did you anticipate?
$150,775 for just those 2 years.
Great.
It is,
Motion to approve.
but they would, that my girl said, we gotta have it, that's just where they're starting.
And so what are they actually doing? I'm sorry.
Were you not listening?
I was.
That's what you would have said to me. It's for background searches, criminal
I know, but
searches.
what are they? You said that the books were destroyed.
Digitizing microfiche.
No,
I thought you said the previous clerk actually.
no, she destroyed the criminal files.
Full criminal.
The
She's
criminal,
now used the word book instead of file. So she destroyed the criminal
well,
files.
because it was a records management project where you just automatically, if you've got a copy of whatever you can throw away the other copy. And back 20 years ago, we didn't realize that they'd be obsolete later. So now they are, and we can't use the microfilm because the files are gone. We do have the old criminal books, kind of like what you saw here, and we will have to go back to those books, and they hand wrote them back then. Plead guilty, $500 fine, $250 court costs. That's all we have to send them is a picture of that book. Not a picture, but we will type it up. But they want the information and complaint and the judgment, usually when you see what that person did. Because they can't have it taken if they got criminal charges. And we just don't have the information they need, so we're kind of desperate for that.
Second.
Did you make the motion? It's been moved and seconded that we approve the request by the county clerk this morning for any further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
D is consideration and possible approval of the creation of the West Texas Healthcare Provider Participation Network, or excuse me, district. We've got 3 guests this morning with us. Maybe you may not know, why don't you just introduce everybody, particularly for those that haven't met you yet.
So I'm Krista Beatty, I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for Hendrick Medical Center here in Brownwood.
And I'm Eric Walshlinger, the CFO for the hospital. My name is Matt Gilbert, I'm a consultant for Hendrick Medical Center.
So now Sharon, did you get how to spell Eric's last name?
Krista, K-R-I-S-T-A, this name, B-A-T-Y, B-A-T-Y. And your title?
Chief Administrative Officer.
Andrew?
Brownwood.
And Ed?
I'm Eric,
Eric.
E-R-I-C-H. My last name is Wall, W-A-L-L-S-C-H-L-A-E-G-E-R.
Your title?
I'm the CFO.
Yes.
Did you repeat that back to us, Sharon? Just ask her.
K-I-L-L-S-T-H? C-H.
S-C-H. We were making fun of that too.
How do you say that?
Walshlinger.
Okay.
Walshlinger.
Walshlinger, okay. Matt
Gilbert.
Gilbert,
Yes.
G-I-L-B-E-R-T, I
Yes,
was that.
ma'am. Mine's easy.
Okay, and you're a consultant.
Consultant. Thanks.
And the,
And
okay, thank you.
now, I know that y'all have met, particularly Joel and Kirk have met with the hospital about the creation of this district.
Larry, that is.
Yeah, Larry. Did you?
Talk to me on the phone and I listened in.
Okay, good.
I heard I could do it.
Okay. So, Doc, I know you haven't. And so, right, and so what I, before we got started, I was just gonna ask, if you want kind of a full presentation, or you want to start asking questions? I know we're gonna have a lot of questions. Maybe you just want a summary of what this means, okay? Matt, why don't you kind of,
Sure.
and you can come up here and sit down if you like, and y'all can say if you want, I hate for people to have to sit, if you don't mind.
We've been sitting for a bit.
Yeah, we.
So, Judge Commissioners, thank you all very much for the time. My name is Matt Gilbert. I've been working on these kind of local provider participation funds pretty much my whole career, 10 years, right about the time they first started getting implemented in the state. So this is a space that I know well. What we're asking for today is your consideration of a simple procedural step that's going to ensure that Hendrick Brownwood is able to access some pretty critical Medicaid funds for the organization. And this is a way that will allow them to do that without any funds from the county, without any tax dollars on residents, and without any administrative burden on the county. And specifically, what we're asking is that the county consider creation of a new local provider participation fund district concurrent with the city of Kerrville and Howard County. A judge will appoint a board member to serve on that board to represent the county's interest in district governance. And that new board would have the authority to levy a fee on hospitals, up to 6% of the patient revenue. And they would use those funds to draw down federal matching dollars that help offset the cost of Medicaid and uninsured care for Hendrick Brownwood. And those costs are substantial. We see a lot of Medicaid and uninsured patients. And these programs that are negotiated through the leadership of Governor Abbott, the federal government, to offset some of those costs are lifeline. They represent the bottom line of the hospital. And this is not a new or untested concept. There's 32 of these LPPFs in existence throughout the state. There's one other multi-jurisdiction, one that involves more than one jurisdiction in the state. It's been successfully operating in Hopkins, Lamar, and Henderson counties. And Henderson County and Lamar County, they have no obligation other than appointing a board member every 2 years to serve on this district and represent the county's interest in governance. There is an administrator role that in that jurisdiction, Hopkins County, they serve on that role. They do all the day-to-day operations of the district. But that role is entirely optional. The only thing that is mandatory is that you, if you create this district, you appoint to serve on that district. This is going to create.
So who appoints the board member?
Judge Brewer.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And it can be any resident of the county. Only requirement is that they be a resident. But it would be somebody who represents the county's interests on the board of district governance.
What's the benefit for the county to?
Well, the benefit is you got a hospital that relies on these funds. And if we don't have a way to access those funds, a reliable way to access the Medicaid matching funds, you're so critical to that facility has to look at reducing service lines. It's a way to keep the hospital viable in the future. It's a way to do that without really much very little administrative burden on the county, without any county funds, without any county tax dollars or costs.
You talk about administrative burden, paperwork, who would be responsible for that?
So in each of these, and there's 32 of them around the state. In most of them, they're administered by a single jurisdiction. Like Taylor County, Tom Green County, they're responsible for administering their program. But in this model that involves multiple jurisdictions, you're creating a new separate entity from the county, and that board appoints an administrator. It can be one of the counties that created it, or it could be a third party.
So the burden of administrative duties would fall on the board member who's appointed, is that correct?
It would be an administrator, probably a third party.
The three board members would select an administrator. So the county judge appoints a board member.
Okay.
Each of the three entities.
So they
select.
administrator.
We're hopeful that City of Kerrville will want to take on that role, but if they don't, we'll contract it out.
That's smart.
So we're trying to partner with Kirk County or Kerrville?
Kerrville. City of Kerrville.
You're trying to get Kirk County or just Kerrville?
City of Kerrville. So the statute gives latitude.
Why wouldn't you go to Kirk County?
The statute gives you flexibility on who's involved in partnering to create this thing, and the City of Kerrville was just willing to do it.
Well, I think that is because the city of Kerrville is who operates the hospital.
Actually, that's not the case. Okay. But the only requirement to make this work is it has to be a jurisdiction where the hospital is located. The Peterson Hospital has been there for 76 years. It's located in the city of Kerrville. And it could have gone to Kirk County, but they went to the city of Kerrville.
So the reason you didn't go to Brownwood is because the county owned what? Why didn't you go to the city?
Well, we thought you'd be good partners in this. They like us. Yeah, we like you better.
I just got one more question. If for some reason there's a burden on the county financially or administrative task or burdensome for county employees, is there an opt-out option?
So there's a couple of opt-out. So I'll start by saying there's 32 of these in this state, as I said. Not one of them after they've been implemented has abandoned the program after it's been implemented. So these are programs that once they're implemented, people are comfortable with it. That said, there's a couple of offerings in the statute. So the first is the statutory authority of the district to operate under this chapter is only for 2 years. So on September 1, 2027, the authority is going to expire under this statute. We'll have to go back to the legislature to get renewed authority under a new statute. At that time, I mean, there's two things you can do. You can, if you want to get out of this program, oppose the legislation. Very unlikely that the legislature would pass it if one of the founding members says we don't want to do it anymore. But even if for some reason they did override your objections, we still have to come back and get another resolution to continue the statute. You could just decline that.
So we're committed for 2 years, there's no opt-out during that?
Well, there is an opt-out, but it requires you to get all three of the local governments that created it to adopt concurrent resolutions, just like you're doing to create it to dissolve.
So we'd have to have permission from Brazos and Kerrville.
Howard and
Kerrville would have to
Yes.
opt out at the same time.
They would, and I think if your objections were brought to them, I mean, it would carry weight. But again, so that's the more complicated way to dissolve this thing. You also have a natural out because of the expiration of the statute at September 1, 2027.
But we have the ongoing obligation. That's the thing about it.
No, I get it, but
Yeah.
for 2 years we're obligated.
Well, we're obligated, but I guess that word obligated is what I was referring to, is because obligated doesn't mean you're required to do anything. Because literally, originally I envisioned us as a possible administrator. Because I thought that it would be an opportunity that we could take on the administrator role and tap into those funds that were available for that role to pay for an employee. I thought, no, the auditor's office could be the administrator and we could get paid by the salary of one of our employees. Now I understand that that's not an option that we want to pursue. I don't know why not, but it's not. And so that's why we're kind of leaning towards some other entity being the administrator. And so literally our obligation, if you want to use that word obligation, ends when we appoint a board member.
Say that again.
Our obligation for all intents and purposes ends when we appoint a board member. That's all we're doing. All we're doing is creating it and appointing a board member. Literally.
There's no financial obligation.
No, because the fees to operate the program,
Up to the state or.
well, no, they're generated from the fees that are collected from the hospitals.
That's right.
So,
These fees are applicable.
I guess I just don't understand why it's necessary to collect this. You're talking about Medicaid fees or
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
it's Medicaid and supplemental payments. You know, Texas is a non-expansion state, so we didn't expand our Medicaid program to include uninsured adults. Despite that fact, we've got the third largest Medicaid population in the country.
Are you talking percentage wise or head
Head count and,
what percentage? Like, you say you have the third largest, that could be pretty big. That could mean a lot.
I'll tell you that we,
Talking 15 versus 16.
well, whether it's whatever the rank is, it's just a lot.
I don't know about that stat, but I do know that in terms of the uninsured, we are both the largest percentage and the largest population in the state. So that Medicaid and uninsured population, you know, hospitals are required to care for every patient that walks through the doors. I'm glad we do that, but there's a substantial cost associated with it. Being a non-expansion state, our governor has negotiated with the federal government several what are called supplemental programs that offset part of the cost for Medicaid and uninsured patients. The deal with those programs is there's no state general revenue that's contributed to finance the non-federal share. If you know, Medicaid is a cost sharing program. It's a program where for every dollar that's spent, the state has to put up 40 cents. The federal government puts up 60 cents. So without that match, you can't get the federal dollars to match. So this is a way to create the non-federal share of those something that pays the hospital.
I'll go back.
So it's kind of oversimplified. I understand it's oversimplified. So basically what you're doing is you're capturing that 40%. And you send that to them and they send you $1 back. I know that's not a very good way to explain that, but basically what that, you take your 40 cents, plus your cost share, and the federal government within 60. And if you don't have this program in place, then you don't get that 60.
What are the fees? Let's go back to your comment, the fee you charge in the hospital. Who you charge the fee to? How do you rate it?
Well, there's in the statute, there's a administrative expense allowed up to $150,000. And that would be.
I'm talking about the fee when you generate the money at the actual generate the money.
The 6% of.
Oh, the 6%. 6% of admission revenue. So it's the revenue of the hospital. Each year the district will consider setting a percentage rate to be assessed on the hospitals. So we say 5%. Every hospital has to pay 5% of their admission revenue to the fee. The district then holds those funds in a district designated account. They transfer them to the state. The state matches them with federal dollars, and they come back to the hospital in the form of a supplement.
So that they,
So that.
The hospital's paying it, the hospital's paying it, and it's getting collected and I guess sort of managed in a sense.
so are you upping the fee to people that are paying in order to generate that money? I mean, so.
Oh, no, there's a they're prohibited in statute, the hospitals are from passing the cost of the fee on the patients.
Because you're really not collecting a fee from somebody. What you're doing is you're taking a percentage of your revenue and using that as your match, and then pulling out your federal funds. Well,
The county's not paying anymore.
no, we're not.
My concern is, and I'll say this before I say it, I never seem to do it get into. Oh, by the way, though, since you remember this, that affects.
Well, we don't draw down any federal funds.
You can do, for instance, we have our own indigent health care, is there anybody that? I just think we go into a gotcha, a possible gotcha, or something will be wrong.
How long is this? You said there's, I'm sorry.
If there's fraud, there could be fraud. Third of this.
They're not our employee. We don't even, not only are they not our employee, we don't even contract with them. The contract would be between the board and the third party provider, whoever that is.
Why they need our license to do it.
Well, because that we vote and say the Brown County's going to participate in this program. And our participation is by appointing a board.
Are we also required to do public hearings and public notices, like I've spoken to Diane Speaker at Congress, of course, I know they're their own jurisdiction, so different from other policy issues, like you have to do public hearings and advertising over the city.
Yeah, that's true. If you operate one of these, you do have to hold a public hearing, but the hearing would be held by this new district board. And the administrator would be responsible for publishing notices. The notice.
It's not each individual county that has to provide a public hearing.
No, ma'am, there has to be a notice in the paper, but that's something that the district administrator would take care of. So there has to be a notice in the paper in each jurisdiction. That would be the job of the administrator, whoever the board appoints.
And then how does it affect the county tax rate if we're asking, if you're asking, if the hospital asks for us to set a tax rate, how does that affect the county tax rate?
No, they're not setting a tax rate. they're setting a rate that is their contribution to the plan, which is a percentage of their net revenue.
That's correct.
Because we don't, because, you know, some counties have hospital districts that tax.
Yeah.
We don't in Brown County. We don't do that in Brown County. In fact, we could not even by law collect the tax for healthcare.
Yes, this is an alternative to taxing residents to generate the non-toll share of these fees. This is purely hospital.
Because I was confused by Diane told me, you know, that the hospital requests the county to set the tax rate. And,
Yeah, and that's, and after I talked to you, I realized that they're in a completely different statute. There's different statutes in Texas, and they're not operating under the same statute that we're, the proposed rules.
and another thing, it was brought up about if the participation somehow can affect our collateral with our bank
So
lenders and things. How does that work?
again, there's a difference in what Tom Green County, what their statute entails and what this does. So Tom Green County, they administer their own. Here,
So does Taylor.
so does Taylor. So do most of the 33,
So
all
I
but
was
one.
gonna say, there's
Yeah.
31 that are their own
Correct,
jurisdiction,
correct.
and there's one.
There's one, there's one, and it's in Lamar, Henderson, and Hopkins.
Right.
And the administrator, yeah, they've got to open an account to hold the LPPF funds. And there are costs associated with the collateralization of deposits. That is also allowed to be covered through the hospital fee. So that section of the statute that talks about the $150,000 administrative fee, it says $150,000 plus the cost of collateralization of deposits. Tom Green County statute doesn't say that. So that has been a problem. That's what raised recently. It's a problem that we'll try to fix to get it in line with other statutes like this one that allow for the cost to be covered.
And I have tried to get in touch with Hopkins
I did as well. I couldn't get a hold of the county judge, but I do know, I've known for 10 years, the consultant that helps to manage that, or confirm for me that
Heard that.
The only
Lamar,
thing I heard that I got was a local attorney for one of those counties, I can't remember which, is the administrator for that.
yes, it's Brent Smith, and he's the CFO of the Hopkins County Hospital District, and he serves as the administrator.
There was another, Prince Smith was not the name.
Was it
It's up there.
Jurset? It was Jurset Lorenz.
No, I'm sorry, I can go get it, it's up in the office, but I didn't understand what there was necessarily was, or individually for each county. What the requirement was.
Say that again?
Well, it's so different from anything from the larger jurisdiction, larger counties that participate in everything. To have just the one that has the three multi-jurisdiction or multi-county. But, they were saying that a local attorney is the one who handles
I get you.
all
Okay,
of their.
so the Henderson County attorney was appointed to the district board. Yes, yes, he doesn't administer the program.
Okay.
Now I'm remembering that.
Okay.
He's the, I think he might be outside counsel for the county in Henderson. But he's their board member. And then Lamar County, their auditor, is the board member. I can't remember who the Hopkins board member is.
So who's the administrator for that jurisdiction?
Hopkins County's, yeah, that's the hospital district's, yeah.
Is there a hospital district?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are all three of those counties hospital districts?
I don't believe they are. If they are, they're in a situation where they want to augment what they're collecting in property taxes, to ensure their hospital is covered fully and can access all the federal funds available to them without having to raise hospital district taxes. That's an option that's in statute. Not what we're giving
I'm
here.
not on the commissioner's report, but I was just trying to clarify some of the research and things like that, because we're talking to Congress, we're talking to Taylor, and they're totally different animals from whatever, and I haven't had the opportunity to really get back in one county jurisdiction.
It's absolutely right. If the county is the one administering this program, there's an administrative lift. But in this specific model, they will have to do.
And how do you go about choosing which counties or cities participate with us? Because, I mean, I know we have other rural hospitals and things that don't have any participation, so why those?
Well, Hendrick has a long-standing relationship with Peterson and a good collaborative partnership with the Quorum hospitals. They were kind of natural partners. And also, many of these jurisdictions, and you may be referring to ones that don't have this, but a lot of jurisdictions that have just one hospital years ago, before LPPFs were first implemented, decided to do a hospital district that relies on local tax dollars to fund the non-federal share of Medicaid. So they could be in the situation where they just don't need an LPPF to augment what they're getting to maximize the funding that they need. It's you know.
What do you think rural hospitals aren't participating?
One.
Some of the ones that are around here are critical access hospitals, and so their funding is different. So they would not have to do this right now. Their funding comes in a different way.
Yeah, there's just limited jurisdictions that this applies to. You have to have a jurisdiction where there's just one hospital. You can't have more than one and do this multi-jurisdictional deal. I guess.
Go out of 254 counties, and I know out of the other 31 that have multiple counties in it. You know, but there's not a lot of participation from other counties. It doesn't seem to be, it's a program that's been around for a while.
12 years. And, you know, another wrinkle to this is there's not many hospitals in the state that are not part of a big system. Like Millerstone, right, THR, HCA that has 60, 80 hospitals around the state, some of which might be in a community that has just one hospital, but they're involved in a big jurisdictional LPPF where they can collect enough funds at a 6% rate on that one hospital to fund most of their system.
Our Hendrick Brownwood is not part of the larger Hendrick.
They are, yes, they are.
Currently get drawdown funds.
They do.
But when he says part of a larger system, he's being much larger than.
Well, I understand better and all that.
They do, and yes, Hendrick is part of the larger Hendrick system, and they're involved in a LPPF in Taylor County. But that LPPF just moved it to 6% last week. It's basically capped out. And in the future, as these programs grow, this is going to create a dedicated way to ensure that Brownwood can continue to access the funds that the federal government makes available for them.
Well, but I just kind of have a little apprehension to it. Sound like potential for gotcha that I don't know about.
So I just shared the resolution with the county attorney that would be part of this. This is the red line version, I'm sorry.
No, I like this.
But I shared that with Judge and Tanner. What the resolution is to support and to make a point board member for this West Texas district. That's the only thing that would be between, that the county would sign as far as their obligation to do something.
Yeah, and I agreed with a lot of the apprehension because it seemed, just intuitively didn't make much sense. You know, in the last week or so, I've researched it, looking on it. The part that I had trouble wrapping my head around was the fact that there really wasn't liability, an ongoing liability. There wasn't a contract. And that's the part that I had to just kind of spend a little time looking into. And I genuinely believe with all of my heart that there's not a contract, that we have no liability. We don't have ongoing exposure for, like, as somebody said, embezzlement or theft of some sort. Maybe I'm talking out of line, but my understanding was that really no one was too excited about us taking on the administrative role. And so we don't have, well, I mean, personally, I still think that we should, but maybe I'm saying to be the only person that thinks that we should. And so we don't have those concerns. Really, some of the stuff that Tiana raised about administration of the program, and of course, if I was Tom Green County and I was only getting paid $20,000 to administer the program, I probably wouldn't be very happy either. That's their problem. So, but we don't have the concerns about this ongoing administrative function. Genuinely looking at it, looking at the statute, and looking at the proposed resolutions. Really, all we do is appoint a board member, and then the board meets and hires an administrator. That really is our only function, is to create it, number one, and number two, appoint a board member.
Have you got somebody in mind?
As a board member?
Yeah.
No. But I don't think that would be maybe you.
No. Absolutely not.
And I'll be honest, this is one of those things that, and it won't be me. But this is,
You'll nominate me, but not you.
but this is one of those things that it probably, being a board member sounds probably more glamorous than it really is. You don't really do much. I guess you appoint an administrator and then annually you set your rate.
It's been one annual.
Okay.
So,
Well, you would meet with the other two county board members at a centralized location.
Virtually,
You can do
by
it.
Zoom, and it's probably a 10-minute meeting. So there's really not much to it.
How many dollars are you creating?
It's 6% of the patient revenue from Bradwood. It's about a $7 million annual collection.
$7 million. Who audits that? Who's the auditor over there?
Pardon?
Who audits that or administrator? Auditor.
Oh, they have to have an independent annual audit done as part of their administrative responsibilities. They have to coordinate an independent annual audit. That's required by the statute.
This is brand new information from me today.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm like that.
I don't know much about.
Well, if there's no financial obligation, there's no administrative burden.
Well, the contract though was looking for 2 years.
Well, unless there's something happens, that we can get catastrophic.
I think somewhere I had a clause there, said something pops up that we weren't aware of. We went back. Another option.
I don't think there is a contract or something.
Yeah, there's not a contract. And
Something, when you raise it, obviously.
Yeah. So what would prevent that?
What would prevent
They're saying, no, this is not what we signed up for.
Yeah, this is not we realized was, hey, this didn't bother to tell us this, we just learned about this after the fact, like, I'm not comfortable with that, order our house. So we're in for 2 years.
Yeah, you've got two options. One is to have all the local governments come together and say,
Talk about me, I'm not worried about anybody else.
if you, I can't foresee many situations where Brown County would have a problem that is not equally a problem for the other jurisdictions that have been told this is no administrative work unless you want. So if you raise objections and bring them to district board and recommend the
Maybe once a
resolve.
year.
Yeah, that would be.
Well, they can meet whenever. They're obligated to meet once a year.
I mean, that would be, that way would be,
Well, they're obligated to meet once a year and they can meet, whenever, on whatever schedule they choose.
As you presented, there's not enough representation. So we're taking to have more meetings, we're not required to have one meeting a year. Who can call, who can say I'm gonna call a meeting, and your individual board member call a meeting? They can, individual board member. Yes.
Have you talked to the Howard County Commissioner or?
Yeah, and I have not, it is my understanding is that they have a meeting tomorrow. They're gonna make this, approving this work.
So we'll let nobody's approved it occurred, Kerrville or Howard County, either one.
Kerrville was this morning, so we.
Howard was this.
Oh, Howard was
Yeah,
this.
they met at 10 o'clock, so I imagine by now they will see this night.
And then Kerrville's tomorrow.
And both had, I want to speak for the county or the city before they adopted these resolutions, but they had both picked out potential board members that they heard this and they were supportive of the idea. So, I expect
Yeah, and
this.
they've already looked over the resolution and made some changes. I mean, it's not like they're just now beginning. They've already looked over it, the wording, they've approved the wording of the resolution.
So the $7 million you talked about would be.
You could offset possibility, I'm sure you would. So, how long they had this resolution to be, we just had a couple of weeks really.
No, it was, maybe a month ago, 3 weeks, a month ago.
Yeah, but another red flag to me, that we popped up here a week ago, we want to adopt it next week.
I'll tell you.
And he can address the urgency, because I've asked that question.
Yeah, we're not rushing just for the sake of rushing. Congress is right now considering, prioritize the one big beautiful bill. It contains a good provision for non-expansion states like Texas. Texas that didn't expand their Medicaid programs to include uninsured adults and drive Medicaid overspending to crazy levels that it is now. It's a provision that allows these kind of supplemental payment programs that this LPPF would fund to grow over time as the needs for uninsured Medicaid care rise. But there's also a provision in the bill that says whatever infrastructure you have in place as far as provider fees, at the time the bill is signed by the president, you cannot implement new LPPFs after the bill is enacted. So if we don't implement now, and if we, as these programs grow, don't have an avenue to access those funds, the situation we'll be in is, well, do we implement a hospital district tax on residents, or do we go to state general revenue, both of which are equally unpalatable options, or leave funds on the table, which is really not an option for Henry, because even with the full benefit of these programs, their cost for Medicaid and uninsured care are 66%. So this is a way to ensure that the local hospital is able to continue accessing those funds that are available to them without county tax dollars, without taxes on residents, without state general revenue. It's a hospital funded program.
We're just trying to get it done. So we can do one of two things. Somebody can make a motion and we can vote. And obviously, I'll know my opinion, I'm for it. Or or we can, it's 10 minutes till 11. We can do that, or we can take a break and take up another issue. Come back for lunch, or first thing after lunch. So y'all just somebody tell me which one. Yeah, that's. Yeah. That seems like that's important. So. All right. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to create the West Texas Healthcare Provider Participation District pursuant to a resolution, a proposed resolution that we presented. Second that.
I'll second it. I'm okay with it.
It's been moved and seconded that we create the West Texas Healthcare Provider Participation District. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? You're saying opposed?
I'm abstaining, but I don't think I have enough information to approve it. I mean, just.
So it's 2-2. That's what I was saying.
You can't fix that, so I have an out if something pops up for me, first in the ground camp. That's it. We have to wait until all three of them say, no, this is not what that's.
Okay. So,
I could just go back and here from this one, all these other things.
okay.
I just have a kind of feeling, I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's 2-2 with one abstention. So it did not pass. And so how long do you need to do something to satisfy your? So what you're wanting is for us to reach out to the other two entities to see if we can include a provision that we can opt out.
If we discover something in a short time, whatever it is.
How long do you think that would take you? Well, then we will, since it was
We offer provision for a revised contract that would.
well, let's before we get into that, let's just, fix that some question.
No.
Well, it's not a contract, it's just a resolution. So what we'll do is we will, we're going to, we're basically in a standstill. And so we're not going to adjourn the meeting because there's an issue that's still left. And so we will take up the other item on the agenda, the executive committee, the executive session. And we will possibly take what we'll do is we will take it up, the executive session. Then we're not going to adjourn our meeting. We're going to recess until 9 a.m. in the morning. Now, we're not recessing now, we've still got another issue. But then after we take up that issue, then we're going to recess until 9 a.m. in the morning. And then in the morning at 9 a.m., and you don't need to come back from that unless y'all need to come back tomorrow. So we'll recess until 9 a.m. in the morning. And we'll take up the issue after we've had an opportunity to research the issue of adding a knockdown clause to the. All right, is that what you want? Excuse me, resolution.
How bad is it? How binding is this resolution?
That's why before we voted, I was like, do y'all want to wait, take a vote after lunch? Because I anticipated that might happen. So we'll recess. So y'all don't have to hang around for the executive session. We're gonna have executive session. It will probably take, okay. Does that make sense? We've got some issues, some other stuff that we're gonna have to deal with. And then we will, and then when we're finished on that, we're gonna take a recess until 9 o'clock tomorrow. So we'll have to repost an agenda, that kind of stuff. That gives us this afternoon to figure out that issue. Okay? Thank you, Judge. Commissioners. Thank you. Two no's, 2 yeses, and 1 hard
I can snap you off.
Okay, that's done. Ian, Martha.
Yes, sir.
Were we waiting? Oh, we were waiting on her answer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Right now, at this moment, there are 174 employees and dependents, that's children, not spouses, 137, and 74 spouses. The children can be,
I'm trying to write 174 total employees in our health insurance. Out of those 174,
there are 137 children and 74 spouses.
Plus 174.
385 individuals on the plan.
So basically, nearly everybody's got. Nearly everybody's got.
Yes.
174 employees.
on our health insurance.
It varies every month. We have people leaving, they're eligible, like we just enrolled 2 new people
Got
today.
you, no, I got you, anywhere between 160 to
188, so when we're past.
Are you able to see how many are just the employee only?
I would guess the 174 is probably what they're counting employees and then employees only.
No, I mean, like,
Same
if
number.
there's 170, that doesn't mean 137 employees in family plans.
No, but there are a number of children on
Yeah.
137. And that children age can be up to 26, thanks to the Affordable Care Plan.
Okay, I guess next, how many of those are, how many people are just employed on? No. Employees have no family or spouse.
Oh. I think 83 of those have family coverage out of the 174, and 83 have family coverage. So those 83 people have a lot of kids.
About half of them have a family coverage and half of them.
Well, they might be employee and spouse though, right? It's different.
It is.
Well, no, 83 is the employee plus family.
It's family, some might be just employee and spouse, right?
Yes.
And then some might be employee only.
Yes. I talked to Ernesto Martinez, I don't know if you talked to him at TAC before, and I asked him about the $200, can we change it later? And he says, no, if you send it in, the 200 is fixed, that is
That just makes no sense whatsoever. Because that doesn't affect their premium, that doesn't affect their.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
If we require the family to pay $300, it does affect the premium.
No, not the premium we pay to them. We still pay the total premium, and that just is our recouping part of that expense.
Yeah, we're still paying the same amount.
Yeah, so we're still paying the same amount to TAC.
NATAC has big meetings on Monday, and Ernesto was taking some time out to call me. He should be available after lunch if you would like to speak to him. Just call TAC, talk to Ernesto Martinez. There's 2 Ernestos Martinez.
I don't know how they would even know.
I mean, we just send in the premium.
We collect over the back. I don't know why. That's what we're gonna do. I think other than that.
It is not true. I agree.
It is.
We've already motioned and seconded. We said, oh,
Yeah. Just leave it like it is. Don't you think?
We weren't addressing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hate just, I hate saying what's fair, what's not fair, but it's really, it's almost like your employee contribution needs to be based on the number of people they're insuring. You know what I'm saying? Is it fair for an employee and spouse to be the same as an employee and 12 kids?
But that's on there. That's what they're doing.
I know, no, I'm just saying, I mean, I don't know what I'm saying, I agree with what you're saying, but the other side of that is, sometimes an employee plus a spouse utilize a whole lot more money than an employee, 3 or 4 kids.
Because of the age.
Yeah, I mean, children are
I'm
actually,
senior citizen too, I understand.
yeah, children are actually, yeah, they are, I mean, they don't spend, they want to spend, that's not where the money's coming from, it's the children. And all it takes is, nowadays, all it takes is 1 or 2. You're talking about, that's $6 million. There's probably 5 people that are on this plan that cover half of that $6 million.
There are few, there'll be some more next year.
And I'll tell you another, I mean, and please, I'm not casting any aspersion at all. But I mean, we had a COVID death
Yes.
that we're still paying for. It's a large part of that, and there's just nothing we can do about it. I mean, we had a death, and we're paying it, and we're gonna be paying. I don't understand how that works, but that tax told me that's, we're paying it, and we're gonna be paying it for a long time.
and what, the hospital bill?
And
The insurance didn't cover it?
We are, that is our insurance.
Well,
So
Well,
that's why the rates are up, or what?
there's apparently a death benefit that's paid to the family.
health insurance?
It comes out of this pool.
Oh,
But that's part of our $6 million is our annual payment to the family of, on duty COVID death. Yeah. Was it 20 years?
I don't know, I think from the state, they're gonna get forever, even if we marry.
That was surprised. So I think there's a motion and a second that we do at the rates and the plan 1100 contribution is set. Is that correct? So any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Everybody agreed?
yeah, but
Thank you for coming.
we kicked the can down the road again.
Start doing research like in
Kick the
January.
can down the road one year.
Judge, before you enter in session, can I just make an announcement? I wish the president had left, but there will be a meeting at Denley Brothers, so going to their offices regarding the Encore issue. That will be tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. and got people from Blanket, that area, Comanche County, and they've extended the invitation to, other Brown County, people who possibly be affected by this. It does not involve Encore itself, the citizens meeting together to see what they can do about it.
It's tomorrow night at 6.
I need to make sure,
Tomorrow night at 6 at Dudley Brothers Salon.
just something we need to make sure we get relevant news.
Yeah.
Maybe even do a press release.
We get that on here too.
Well,
Jewel Richmond, make me aware of that one.
well, I
You
mentioned,
want me to get everybody a good.
Yeah, so it'll be about Joe Richmond and Mark.
yeah, I've been communicating, I've been talking to them.
And I have,
They're about as nice as you'd expect. I mean, why would Encore be opposed to setting a public meeting?
Because they got something.
They could get so much goodwill out of that, just sitting at a meeting in May and let them, you know what I'm saying? But they'll just absolutely refuse it. They said they will come and meet with me privately. What does that accomplish? Thank you.
So anyway,
Thank
yeah.
you very much.
Just wanted to make those who are affected aware that
we're trying
there's.
to
They can
get
start
a map here,
barbecuing.
PDF now from Brown County.
They can start barbecuing.
Yeah.
Like they do at their annual pool sale.
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask Jim or John or Mark or somebody, but, for those that don't know, that address is 9450 Highway 67.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we will, now we will go into executive session.
We're gonna recess this one at 11:06.